Amrita decided to go on an excursion for the holidays. And she decided to go with some animal lover friends with a group in a jungle. Um, and they were having fun and they were walking around, and she was so completely excited about the sound of the birds, the tiger, and she would hear noises, the elephant and the giraffe from far away, and they were like so excited, walking and walking. But she kind of got distracted and got lost. She was in such a state of wonderment. And so hours went by and she was alone. She thought the group was around. And suddenly it was starting to get dark. And she started looking around to say, where am I? What's going on? Where is my people? But she looked at everything, the butterfly and the amazing insect, and she wanted to see a real tiger. But she realized, oh my God, it's getting late. Where is the camp? How do I get back? And then she went into that direction. It didn't work. Went at the other. She said, no, I don't think it's there. No, it's on the other side. And she kept going like that, and she was completely confused. And then she suddenly had this big realization, I am lost. Oh, what am I going to do? She completely fall to the ground. And she started praying, and she said, I surrender to you, God. I surrender to you. All I can do is surrender to you. And in that moment, not long after, there is a tour bus passing by, and she could see it a little further from a distance, and a voice yelled, come in, it's getting dark. It's in the jungle out there. You better get in. You don't stay alone. And she yelled back, no, I'm not alone. I have surrendered to God. And the bus just continued to leave. They thought, maybe. And then she keeps bowing down and saying, I surrender to God, I surrender to God. Out of a sudden, an helicopter arrived, and from above, they throw one of those cord down, and she heard that voice from far away, come up, jump up, climb. It's getting dark. It's dangerous out there in the jungle. Come on. And she kept praying. She said, I surrender to God. I surrender. I'm not alone. I have surrendered to God. Suddenly, the helicopter just fly because it couldn't over forever. The helicopter left. And then it's getting dark. And then she kept surrendering to God. And she started to feel sleepy, and she was afraid. And she decided to lean against this big coconut tree. And she was there, and suddenly, oh, the fatigue took over. And she just closed her eyes and started falling deep into this slumber and feeling that, oh, I'm surrendering to God. I'm surrendering everything to God. And around dawn, monkey came and started making a lot of noise, jumping into the palm tree, and coconuts started falling down, and a ton of coconut fell right on her head and smashed her. And here she was, Amrita was gone. So out of a sudden, she's in heaven, and she looked at God and she said, what happened, God? I've been surrendering to you. Why did you give up on me? Why did you let me down? And God looked at Amrita and say, well, I sent you a bus. I sent you an helicopter. Was that enough for you? So, surrender. Surrendering. Namaste, everyone. Welcome to Drinking Bliss Divine Satsang. Tonight, the art and the power of letting go and surrender. A lot of people think surrender is like Amrita. That is a passive state of being. It's not. It's quite the opposite. Surrendering is an empowerment. I call it the grand empowerment. It's a very active process. It's a constant state of abandoning yourself. As a matter of fact, a better word than saying surrender, because surrender for some people has become a little bit of a corrupted word, because when people think of surrender, especially here in the Western Hemisphere, they think of surrender as submission, submissive. Someone, when you're submissive, you're passive, and you're not empowering yourself. And so a better word, we would say abandoning yourself. You abandon yourself, especially yourself, because when you abandon yourself, you could look at self as self with the capital S, which means your higher self, empowering your higher self, but here you're abandoning your little self, your personality, your conditioning, your accumulation, all that doesn't serve your highest good. Abandoning like that strong sense of ego identification, or what we call an Aumkaram, the ego that wants its way, wants to control, wants to manipulate, and the mind can really trick you. And so abandoning yourself is to make that distance and completely rest into you divine presence. So the grand empowerment is empowering you divine presence. And the absolute truth is, it's a little absurd, we would say, when you say surrendering to God, because the absolute truth is there is not such a thing as a separated God. It only creates the illusion of separativeness even more, that God is separated. The divine is within. We all are one with it. So the relative truth is, in a state of abandoning yourself, in a state of complete surrender, it's a process of disillusion. The relative truth is you making that distance from that karmic structure, that accumulation, that personality that wants to make the decision, that does not want to listen, and to allow that space within yourself that, like, remember when we talked about in the last satsang, last October, trusting your spirit. How many of you remember how to tap into your the cosmic mind, to allow that silence within you, and then you can really hear you divine presence guiding you. So in a state of abandonment, there is complete trust, faith, equanimity, because you see, ego always wants to fight. There's always resistance. It's hard to listen when there's so much noise, because the mind is always so packed with idea, with accumulation, sensory impression. And so when you start dissolving that ego, all those ego identification, it becomes easier and easier to let go, to trust, to have faith, and knowing that ultimately the divine is here within. And if you make that quiet space, that distance from all the garbage that is being carried, you will hear very clearly. And that state, you can abandon yourself, you can trust. And this is where the mind won't bug you all the time, trying to make a decision. Is this the right thing? Or why is this not happening my way? What should I do? You will know instantly if a bus comes. The divine is there too. You will jump in that bus because you know this will save your life. So a state of abandonment is a grand empowerment, and it brings such a bliss within, and there is such a sense of deep humility and a deep sense of serenity within. You know by that when you have truly surrendered, when you have truly abandoned yourself, is that the mind, the jabbering mind won't drive you crazy. You rest within the self with the big capital S. That the oneness of existence, that tribe within each of us. And the deeper you go on your spiritual journey and awakening and process of dissolution, the more you will live your life in a state of complete surrender. And even deeper, the state of abandonment and state of surrender is when you completely live in this existential moment. Right now, where you are, the present only matters. There is no past and there is no future. And that state is a state of equanimity, a state of joy, a state of complete bliss, because the future does not exist. It's not in bothering you in your mind. And the past is already gone. It does not exist. Nothing exists. The past and the future don't exist. So the state of surrender with humility and serenity, that complete state of abandonment happened right now, right here in this existential moment. It is the easiest to do, and it's the hardest thing to do for most people, because it's hard for someone to anchor themselves right here in this present moment. Wouldn't you agree?
Lengthy period of time.
There's always something bothering you about the past. There's always something bothering you or anxious about the future. And then you know if the mind is driving you crazy, you're not surrendering. And because you will know when you're in a state of abandonment of yourself, that fabricated cage that you have put in yourself, is when you have a deep, deep sense of humility. And it's a complete, it's not a big bang. It's how do you accomplish that? That would be the first question anyone would ask. How do I go, Devi Ma, in a state of surrender? Because it's hard for a big ego, for someone who has a strong sense of self. How do I do that? Well, I would say, beloved, number one, it's not an act. Surrendering is not an act. It's a state of progression, of dissolution. It is like the river flowing gently, slowly, going into the ocean. The river dissolves into the ocean, and yet the river always exists, even when the river merges with the ocean. You see what I'm saying? So that process of surrendering, it's an ongoing process, and you can check in all the time by becoming mindful, asking yourself, am I in a state of letting go now? You check in. If your mind is driving you crazy and you feel like life is bombarding you with so much pain and suffering and so much is happening, whatever is happening in your life, a divorce, a heartbreak, an accident, losing your position after 25 years of at a position where you had security, but you trust and you can completely let go and say, I trust my own inner being, because I know within myself the divine tribe inside of me. Because God is not an outside thing, it's everywhere, it's within ourselves. And when you are fully awakened and fully realize, you know very well you are one with it. And so whatever that comes with it, you trust, that surrender. I will remember, and I will stay in a state of surrender. There is no fear. The mind is not going to bring anxiety. It's not going to bring depression or making you feel down, because there is no fear. There's such a state of humbleness and serenity. I think I have shared with you, for me, my biggest moment in my life, if I may bring it back, some of you are maybe don't know, but when I was diagnosed with breast cancer, advanced breast cancer, and I was going to go through the treatment, and I faced that I was going to do 6 months of intense therapy, chemotherapy, and the surgery, and the daily radiation. And I was alone at home. I will never forget. And I went to wash my face, and I look at myself in the mirror, and I was terrified by the chemotherapy. I was terrified of losing my hair, my lashes. I was so attached to all of those things and to my life. And something clicked. I completely let go. There was such an intensity in the letting go in your energy. It's such a process of disillusion. And where it can help for some people is the intensity of the emotion. In that moment, for this one, my energy was so intense. And there was a deep realization. So often what happened in a deep state of abandonment, there is this deep epiphany or realization. We lost the microphone. Okay, it's back. That out of a sudden you completely, there is a trigger inside of you. And it's a switch. How can you say that? It's an energy that's shift within, a realization, an epiphany. It's a mystical experience. And that's where humbleness comes. And in that moment, for my being, I just collapsed to the ground. And I was feeling this fire. The intensity of my energy was so intense. And I screamed to God, to the divine, whatever we may call it, because again, God is a corrupted word in so many ways, because it has been misused. And when a lot of people, when people think of the word God, they think word, because there have been so many words in the name of God. How many? Countless. And yet, the truth, the absolute truth, is only one source, one supreme intelligence. So it doesn't matter what we call it. And there was a complete collapse and a complete sense of serenity and humbleness. And that night, when I went in bed, I took the blanket and I covered myself. And I was in the deepest state of equanimity. There's no fear anymore. The energy was completely transformed within. And I had found that space within and allowing the empowerment of my divine presence. It's not something you can't really talk about, that clicking. It's something you experience. But it's a process of dissolution, like I have said. And it's a letting go that for some might take many months. For some people might happen faster. We lost the microphone again. I'm sorry. I hope you can all hear me. And for some people, it depends on the event in your life. It can happen in an instant. We lost the microphone again. And so it varies on your karmic structure, on your willingness, on your receptivity, on your vulnerability. That is, and your openness. The vulnerability will probably be the biggest one for most people, because when you're in a state of surrender, you're allowing a higher power, a higher intelligence. Don't get me wrong, the divine is there, but it's not separated from us, so we're part of it. You're allowing that force within to take over. That's why Devi Mayi Ma always say it's a grand empowerment, because you're allowing your divine presence to take over. So it can be very threatening for the ego. For someone who has a very strong sense of self, a strong personality, it's hard because there will be a lot of resistance. There will be a lot of jabbering inside. And for some people, it's a process. It can be a long process. It all depends on your intensity, beloved. How intense. And if you're in sadhana, will be much easier. When, especially if you do kriya, some form of kriya yoga, because it helps transform your energy. Because to be in such a state of abandonment, in a state of surrender, your energy needs to be transforming. It needs to change. It needs to move up. A process of dissolution needs to happen. And everyone will be different. For someone, letting go of a beloved might happen faster, then another one could carry it for the whole life. Someone could carry their wounds as a trophy on their head for the rest of their life. And some people can process that within a few months, and to find themselves in such a state of surrender where they will find such a bliss and equanimity, because you trust, you have faith that you will hear the guidance, you will make the right decision. You know that it comes from a higher power, and you trust that. And there can never be any kind of state of surrendering or state of abandonment if there is no devotion. Because naturally, devotion will come. You will be in a state of devotion because you made that space. You're saying, I don't want my personality, my ego to make the decision. You're allowing that higher divine power, whatever you call it, to work through you. It allows grace to happen within yourself, and naturally it activates your devotion. And in a state of surrender, there will always be divine love because you feel it in your heart. You at peace. You are in such a state where you don't think about the future anymore. You know you've been taken care of. I remember that night when I was in bed and I had the blanket of grace over me. That peace that I felt was unbelievable. The oneness, the blissfulness. And I never doubted for a second. I knew I would be completely fine. I had no fear whatsoever what I was going to go through with cancer. And that's why I'm here today, after what, over 14 years now. And state of surrendering and abandoning yourself, it's the magic of the Divine Mother, because the mind is not functioning at a level that can ruin your life. I always say the only great obstacle in life is your mind. When you realize everything, you create your own biochemical from the way you think, the way you talk, the way you move with your action. You see what I'm saying? That's why it's magical in a state of surrender, because then the mind doesn't go crazy. It's at peace. It's quiet. You see the difference what I'm trying to say? Because you're functioning from your divine presence. It's a completely different energy. Because if you start worrying, how am I going to survive? I'm never going to heal. I'm suffering from neck pain for the last 8 years. I want to die. I'm never going to heal. You know, that kind of thinking is not a state of surrender. It's not a state of abandonment. But if you know, I surrender, I know I'm being healed right now in this moment by the grace of my Creator. I trust, I let go. Whatever it is, I let go. If it's emotional abuse, all that drama of childhood, I give it to you. I cannot take it, Divine Mother. I talk to the Divine Mother. You could call it whatever you want. I offer you my karma. It's too much for me. You take it. You could do that. When you hear your mind saying whatever is negative, that is low vibrational and is putting you down, stop it. That's why I'm saying you got to be mindful. Because if you're not mindful of how your mind is working, then the jabbering mind will go and push you down. And of course, then you're not in a state of surrender. You empowering you an Aumkaram, you empowering you ego. But you suddenly say, wait a minute, no, I'm not going to listen to you. This is just my own samskara, my impression, my vasana, my tendency. It's not who I am. It's not, I'm not the body, I'm not the mind. I am going to empower my divine presence. And then you could say, this is too much. I can't deal with it. You feel overwhelmed by life event, tragedy, or whatever is happening in your life. You offer it. You catch yourself, go back to your breath, ground yourself in this present moment, and bring back your breath. And then just bring back this beautiful breathing. You remember when you're breathing consciously and mindfully, you're breathing God, you're breathing the divine. I rather call it the divine. You're breathing the divine. It's everywhere, the prana, and you can say to however you want to say it, if it's for one specific, if it's for Jesus Christ or for Shiva or Vishnu, I offer it to you. I know I'm one with you and you take care of it. I let go of all of this and I trust divine guidance is here and I will hear it at the proper time. And then you bring some peace. And then the mind, the monkey mind is not going to drive you crazy and coconut is not going to fall on your head. You see what I'm saying? So let's take a deep breath together. And I will normally start that song with joining one breath, one heart, one mind, one soul, one spirit. And we will breathe consciously 3 times. Just follow your breath, consciously going up and down from your Muladhara at the base of your sacrum, following all the way up into your spine. See the light in your spine. Bring it all the way up to your throat chakra, to the Vishuddha. And the second one. And the third one. And check in, where is your breath? Always check in during the day, where is your breath? Is it stuck into your heart chakra, into your anahata? Or is it stuck lower? Do you have a hard time breathing? Is your breath long, elongated, peaceful? And in that moment, you can let go. Offer it to the divine. I offer you all my trouble. I offer you all my challenges in this present moment. I offer it to you. You take care of it. Divine Mother, I trust and I surrender everything in this beautiful existential moment, the only one I have right now, eternal and peaceful. And I feel within my being you dropping in the bosom of my heart. And put your awareness on your anahata right now in this moment. And feel the divine love. See that lotus opening up with the light of the Divine Mother. All my trouble, everything I give you, you take care of it right now. And you can do that many times during the day when you're going through anxiety. If you have anxiety attack, be mindful of how you speak to your divine presence. Who are you empowering? You ego identification, your mind, or you divine presence? Ask yourself that question during the day when you stop and check in. And if you do that, you will see it's so easy to allow your divine presence to take over. All it takes is being open, being responsive, and be receptive, and allow yourself to be like a child. You know, children are always in a state of wonderment. They never question anything. They're right here, right now, in that present moment, and they're happy. And they jump, and they trust, and they have faith. We lost the microphone again. I'm sorry about that. I hope all of you can hear. And now put both of your hands on your heart and feel that presence right now. Let go. You can surrender everything in this moment. Everything in this present moment. So let's take some questions. Oh, one last thing before I forget. Surrendering, state of abandoning yourself require responsibility. Responsible to who? To you. To you, Divine Presence. It's a state of being responsible. It's the first baby step on the spiritual path. In a state of surrender, you need to be responsible that you are vigilant into how you abandon yourself. Everything we have talked to so far, how do you allow to dissolve yourself? Do you use your discrimination, your discernment, your viveka? Do you use your mindfulness as you go through your life on a moment and daily moment? Do you ask yourself that question? Ask yourself that question for all of you around the world. And we're happy to see you this evening. We were supposed to have the Drinking Bliss Divine Satsang last week. Normally we have it every second Monday of the month, but this month was an exception because we were in India for 1 month and a half, and our trip was delayed, and we were supposed to do it last week, but we came back and we were exhausted and sick. We're feeling so much better now. And so we postponed it, and we knew it was the holidays, but we didn't want to cancel. We want to celebrate with you, especially at the end of the year. There's so much to let go, and we will do a meditation shortly and a process, so which will allow you to let go of the complete, everything you want to let go this year, in a complete state of abandonment. So, any question on the chat or in the description? Do you see anything? It can be any question regarding anything, not just on letting go. Sometimes the question pass through the chat and we don't see them, so if we miss it, you go and write it into the description. Sometimes they come later during the live stream, we miss it. It's happened many times. So in this case, write it into the comment section and we can answer later or in a different satsang. Because sometimes people come later during the live stream. Any question here in the sanctum? Can be about anything, about spiritual path, spiritual awakening. Any sincere seeker question. Don't be shy. Anything online?
Nothing serious.
Also, what happens often, people don't think of the question and they come later.
So, do you have to kind of check in with yourself regularly to keep yourself in a state of the present moment?
Absolutely. The question is, do you have to check with yourself if you're in a state of surrendering? Well, it's a form of mindful checking. You would know it's awareness, because what I was talking about, the divine presence, is a pure consciousness. It's a pure awareness that we all have within. You see what I'm saying? It's to empower that. But because people have so much karma, they're so conditioned, and their compulsion rules their life. Their habit, energy habit, rule their life. And that's a great question you just asked. And so you got to stop yourself, like I was just saying, to check in. You could call it check in, or to take a moment for yourself and go inside and ground yourself in your mindful conscious breathing. And then you could ask yourself a couple of questions to ground you there in a mindful practice. Am I empowering my divine presence? Oh, sometimes you don't have to check and you know right away, oh, my mind is troubling me. You know you're not in a state of surrendering because you feel anxiety. You feel like, oh my God, I'm overwhelmed. I'm anxious. It's like, then you're not in a state of surrendering. Then you can even bow down. This is actually a great practice. You bow down to the ground, bow down to the higher power, whatever is for you. You could bow down to your teacher, surrender to the Guru. The Guru is not necessarily a person. It's not a relationship. It's the light. It's the universal divine light consciousness in the form of a person, an embodiment of a person. Whatever works for you, you bow down and you surrender. You abandon yourself. You could say in that moment, I'm resting. You know that feeling like, I can't take it anymore. And you just rest within yourself. Something click inside. It's like a little cat who has gone crazy. You have seen that. And they just come and they just... I've seen Krishna doing that. He just come. He's our little black cat. He's adorable, one of our rescue cats. He just go crazy and he goes playing. He didn't catch this little mouse or this and that. He comes back and he just come lay down. And then within like a second, he completely had let go. And he rests.
He's got no worries.
No worries. Well, then you know that. If you have no worry, there is no fear, is that you have let go. You have really let go and you really trust that how things unfold accordingly to divine, to the divine presence. It puts you at rest. If you at rest and you feel in a state of trust and you're not troubled, then you naturally go back more into the present moment. Because when you're in this existential moment, you don't have racing thoughts going crazy. You trust the divine, that how things are manifesting. And you use your power of your magical one that I talk about, how you use your thoughts, how you use your energy, your volition, your action to manifest your life. And then you make that space. You trust into the Divine Mother. It just puts you in such a state of rest. So for some people, maybe for you, you will have to check in more often. Some people are more in tune with their awareness, with their mindfulness. They will catch themselves right away. Oh, wait a minute. I'm worrying too much right now. You quiet down. You could say that. And yeah, you could do that. You say, you go, I'm close, but it's important to have some practice. It sounds really like nothing to close your eyes for a few minutes and to go back to your breath. But if you do it regularly, you will experience so much inner peace. This is where you can really ground yourself into this existential moment and surrender it. You could even say it mentally or verbally. Then it comes a point you don't even have to do that. You just close your eyes And there is this natural letting go inside. And there is no thoughts. You're like that little Krishna. You experience joy, bliss, inner peace. It's different for a lot of people. That process can vary tremendously from a lot of people. It depends also what's happening in your life. Let's say tomorrow morning you get diagnosed with stage 4 cancer, okay? And they tell you it's so advanced, you have only 1 month to live. Okay? That's just hypothetically. We're not wishing you anything, only blessing. But let's say, the question is, that news could bring such an intensity in your energy that you can have a breakthrough. It's all depending on your inner spirit. How powerful is your inner spirit? How are you allowing your divine presence to manifest, to experience that? And it requires vulnerability. So certain life event will trigger within you a sense of openness, a sense of receptivity, in a sense of vulnerability and sensitivity, where you feel like so humble, you know, you're like a speck in the universe. And that moment, there is a certain process of disillusion because your energy is transforming. You follow? Did I answer your question?
My question. Well, I've had a lot of thoughts since I.
What was that?
Question.
Yeah, go on. What is your second question?
Well, I mean, different times in your life require different things. I mean, sometimes you have to kind of take a hold of a situation and make something happen for yourself. But at the same time, you give it to quote unquote God. So you're kind of doing both at the same time. It's a complex thing. And then there's other times where I just completely give it to God. Just like, I'm not going to worry about that. I'm not going to think about this. I'm just going to have faith that my guides and God are working together. And I'm going to ride through this.
But your question is, yes, it's true. I want to make sure I understand your question. Yes, life will bring you, bombard you with all kinds of life circumstances.
Sometimes you have to kind of make decisions.
But there will, decisions sometimes are made for you, you know. I will give an example. Let's say you work at a place for 30 years and suddenly they fire you. That was your security. Well, that decision was made for you. That's an example of surrendering and letting go. How do you go about this? Are you going to, worry financially? Or let's say you diagnose or you let go of a beloved one, for example. Things are not working out. And it doesn't matter from the smallest to the biggest thing. Certain life event does not always require us to make decision, but it's how you make the decision. Is it made from your divine presence or it's made from ego? Because often, if you're not in a state of abandoning and surrendering, you don't know what is the right decision. You're not sure. Is that the right thing? This is when you really need to let go and surrender, because the decision will naturally unfold. It will be revealed to you what it is. Or you lost a beloved one and you're going through that process. It could be so many. There's life we're constantly bombarded by. It's endless. It's endless. And so it doesn't matter what's happening, the process is always the same. You know, it's always the same, Lauren. And at some time in life will be easier than other time. The question is, just by how you feel right now in that moment about that particular situation in your life or your life in general, you will know if you're in a state of abandonment or if you're not. You see what I'm saying? Because you'll know you're. I'm sorry?
We always are.
No, that's not true.
I mean, life is going to take us where we, all kinds of places.
Oh, in that sense, yes. But to be in a state of surrender, you're not always. It's hard for people to be in a state of surrendering. But for some people, it's easier of letting go. But again, it depends also on the life event, what's happening. It's complex. It could be from small little thing to medium or catastrophic things. Yeah, some things can be much harder to really bow down and really trust and completely surrender and let go. But we're going to, in letting go, it's much deeper than that. Let me explain to you on the energetic level and on the spiritual level. Many of you maybe haven't taken that in consideration, but karmically, what one accumulate, one is conditioned, it's all samskara, impression, and it's karmic, it's prahadba karma. It's been accumulated. And for most people are not conscious of it, they're not aware of it. So it stayed there within your subtle body. But when you're in a state of surrender and you really process it through that process of disillusion, then you let go of that karma. It won't have any effect on you anymore. And that's the greatest gift, the greatest blessing. We lost the microphone again. It's the greatest blessing is that you haven't accumulated it. It's done, it's over, it's burned, it's purified, it's processed. Do you see the difference? That's the greatest blessing when you in that state of surrendering. You were able to completely burn out that karmic with the fire, the agni of purification. It won't follow you in this lifetime or any other lifetime. And that's the big difference, and that's the biggest blessing. So tonight, we're going to let go of this year. What about that? Yeah. Are you willing? Yes, all willing to let go. Let go, and maybe for you, let go could be let go of so many years that reflect one aspect of your life: professional life, love life, family life, spiritual life, friend life, sex life, dysfunctional life, you know.
Even life also.
Uh,
Let go of life itself.
and life itself. Let go. No, that doesn't mean you're going to die tonight. You could die to your old self. Let the false sense of self die tonight. So whatever you want to let go tonight, you let go. And we will do a process. First, we're going to close our eyes. We're doing well with timing. We lost a couple of people tonight. Maybe they got lost because it was the first time they were coming here. I don't know why they're not here, but they could watch the live stream. We're so happy that you're here with us tonight. And if you have any question after this live stream or any comment, please like and subscribe. For some of you who are new to Devi Mayi Ma channel, and ask your question in the description. we'll make sure we can answer your question. And if it's a long question, maybe we'll do a satsang or maybe a video satsang for you. And so everyone, for you around the world, we're so happy you're here. Please, I hope you sit straight. We're going to chant Om. Om is very healing. It's the primal sound of the cosmos. And it's with 3 syllables. You have done it before, but for some of you who are new, it heals so many ailments. It really works on the vibration, on a higher vibration of the subtle body and the physical body. So Aum is A, U, A, U, vibrate here in the stomach, in the Hanahata, and the Vishuddhi, and in the Ajna. And you do it equal, A, O, And we're going to do it together for 5-10 minutes after you're going to lay down, and we'll do a process. There's plenty of space. And before we start, any question on the chat? Any question? Because maybe by now it's possible on the description.
Series, how can you balance your spiritual life from living in the world?
How do you balance your spiritual life and
Living in the world.
That's a great question. Well, beloved, who is this person asking that question?
It's George Salvador.
Who?
George Salvador.
Okay, George, right?
No, George.
Who?
You can check in your phone.
Oh, I can see it. But the first name again?
Chod, C-H-O-D.
C-H-O-D. Chod. I hope I got it right.
Yeah.
Wonderful. That question is a great question because it's very challenging. When you realize you're not the body and you're not the mind, that you're pure spirit, you incarnated into this form to experience life, makes it easier. But the question is, how do you make that realization? But we will be practical also. How can you do that? Well, you only go baby step at a time. You do the best you can. When you embark on the spiritual path, you allowed yourself to incorporate spiritual practices. Like right now, you are incorporating spiritual life with your daily life. It's actually not that difficult because the mind is making it difficult. The mind is saying, okay, how do I merge the two together? You're a spiritual being. If you are on the spiritual path and you're on a spiritual journey, your entire life becomes sadhana. Your entire life will always be spiritual. Even when you're at work, you can practice mindfulness. You slow down. It takes only 30 seconds, maybe 1 minute more than usual people, and you ground yourself. You know that you're a spiritual being and that wherever you go about life, that's how you live your life. You make room to meditate. You make room to do sadhana, spiritual practices. You start developing good energy habit. You start vibrating at a higher energy. Claude, or it's Claude, I think it's Claude. Claude, I think from the Philippines, right? Is that you, beloved? So it's a little challenging when you work, but It's possible. It will come a point where your entire life will, everything will be spiritual. You can be at work and do things. If you grounded into consciousness and mindfulness, then there's no question about balancing, because everything becomes a sadhana. But it depends what you mean by your question, because maybe your question might mean, I want my whole life just to be spiritual, meaning I want to do sadhana all the time. Well, if that is your question, that's different. Then I would say maybe you want to become a Samyaman, Samyamis, then you become a monk. And that's a process of evolution. You can live at an ashram and have a completely spiritual life. But the question, is that for you? And often some people think it's for them, and when they get there, they realize that I'm not fit for that. That's not my path. It's too hard for them because they realize what they were doing. They were trying to hide from their trouble, from their problem. And they think that, oh, if I go live in an ashram or a monastery, then my life will be completely spiritual. A lot of people think like that when they start on the spiritual path. They're facing so, especially if you're going to a spiritual awakening, and I know you are, it can be overwhelming, you know, when you're going to a Kundalini ascension and energy is moving up. But I can tell you from my own experience, it's more challenging for a spiritual person who live in an ashram than a person out there, because you will find its natural balance, that you can function in the world and be part of the world and be fully spiritual. You get up early, you do your sadhana, you're grounded into consciousness. What you can do is you can do a type of work where it's more suited for you, that is more aligned with your spiritual inclination, like in the healing world or bringing a service to the world that contribute to humanity. I think what's most important for you, Claude, and all for you, very important, please listen to this. This is how you really align your spiritual life and your daily life, is when your mind, your mana maya kosha, your prana maya kosha, your energy and your emotion are aligned in one direction. Then there's no question of, everything becomes a sadhana. Make your life a sadhana. Your mind can be chanting Devi Ma's mind, there's always a mantra going on. I'm always fully mindful of my breath. And if you train yourself into that, and then you become to a point, it's a process where you fully balance. Well, if you work 12 hours per day, 7 days a week, then you're definitely out of balance. Then you need to look at your life, Claudes, and all of you, and see, okay, maybe I'm a work alcoholic. Then if it's that case, you need to reduce down your work. You got to align everything. That means examine your life, examine very carefully this year when you let go tonight, and see, how did I live my life? Am I more in balance? Because if you work too hard and you don't do enough sadhana and you don't meditate, every breath should be a sadhana. meaning that you mindful of your breath. When you work out in the world, always offer your action to the divine. And so there is no question anymore. Even you at work, you are doing sadhana. Even if you at work, you offering the fruit of your work. And you doing seva, you doing volunteering, you offer it. And you don't even have to talk about it. Your whole life, every step of the way, even when you walk, baby step, mindful step, fully conscious, embracing Mother Earth, everything can be spiritual. You can make your life fully balanced, completely in spirituality every moment, because the ultimate truth, the absolute truth, Claude, and all of you beloved, is we are spiritual being having a human experience. So you can remind you, it's a process of conscious evolution. And so little by little, you will balance more and more. You will maybe work less or maybe change your work. I think you do music, right? So if you do spiritual music, well, then that's spirituality. Spirituality has many aspects of you being. And so spirituality doesn't mean you just sit down and close your eyes. Spirituality is being out in the world, rescuing an animal or feeding a homeless. You see? So you will find a point like you are in perfect alignment with body, mind, energy, and emotion. And chant the name of God. Whatever for you is the name of God. You go about your day, offer your day when you get up. When you feel you're disconnected, you're overwhelmed by work, ground yourself and start chanting. You know, chant the name of God. Or it could just be whatever is for you. Or Om Namah Shivaya, or Hare Krishna, or whatever is for you, Tara. And everything is spiritual. It's not because we are in the flesh. Remember your true nature. That's why Devi Ma always say, go back. Take the time to stop. If you at work, it's a great way to balance that. If you're overwhelming with demands at work, you can stop for 2 minutes and bring yourself to this present moment and experience the inner peace. And I surrender to you. That's how you bring balance. And check your life. If it's too much work, the load, just reduce it down. Increase your sattvic nature. That's another aspect of balancing your spiritual life with your daily life. Remember about the gunas? How many of you remember the gunas? We have talked about that. The gunas are the 3 forces of the universe that govern. It's a law, a universal of existence, the 3 guna: tama, tamasic, raja, and then sattvic. Tamasic is based on the principle of inertia, sleepiness. They're all necessary, but when you want to learn how to balance, you want to go straight to increasing your sattvic nature. But before we go there, let's talk then about the second one, Rajastic, is action. Out in the world, you are in action, making things happen. It's more doership there. And then sattvic. Sattvic is in a state of being, in a state of lucidity. So, beloved, just increase your sattvic nature. And you remember how you do that. we have talked about that many times in satsang through different mindful practices. If you haven't watched this mini-series on mindful living, which we launched a couple of weeks ago, please watch them. There's part 1, 2, and 3. And to bring the mindful practices and then increase your sadhana, your spiritual practices, your kriya, increase the amount of meditation, increase the amount of walking meditation, contemplation, self-introspection, silence. Make silence also. Go walk in nature and just be with the whole of existence. So that's increasing your sattvic nature. Eat raw, vegan food, organic food, as much as you can in terms of percentage. Avoid alcohol and drugs. Avoid gossiping. All of this will add to your sattvic nature. You see what I'm saying? That's how you empower yourself. You got to check in, see what's working in your life and what's not working. So that tells me that if you ask that question, it's because you're out of balance. Something in your life, it's pulling your energy. And so I suggest to you, you increase your sattvic nature. Did I answer your question? So you understand about the triguna. Ask yourself that question right now. How can I increase my sattvic nature in my life? Coming to satsang every month, that's a great start. You see, all of those things. Go on a pilgrim, or go on a spiritual retreat with Devi Mayi Ma next year. And we're planning, we want that in India, and we hope to make a lot of announcements next year, some good positive changes. So, did that answer your question? Was it insightful for you also here?
Yes, yes.
Wonderful, great. So let's close our eyes and let's chant Om together for five minutes. Make sure your spine is straight up and close your eyes, look a little upward and turn your hands upward. And you utter out loud, ah, oo, and let go. Let it feel the vibration. And oming Aumkaram like that is so healing for your subtle body, for your soul and your spirit. So let's get started. It will change your vibration. You see, beloved, just from chanting 10 minutes of see how calming it is to your mind. This is a good way to surrender also. When your mind is very agitated, you can sit 5-10 minutes, sit outside, take a break, and just chant out loud Aumkaram, and it will naturally put you into a meditative state. So now let's do a process for the next 15-20 minutes. A guided meditation of letting go. Make yourself comfortable, lay down in Shavasana. You can have pillow and support. There's plenty of space. You can move things around. For you, beloved, wherever you are around the world, make sure you have a pillow. Turn your hands upward. And you could have a pillow underneath your knee. And completely let go. We got a lot of kitty cat here in the sanctum. And this is the time to really enjoy the ride and just completely enjoy every moment. Just indulge your divine presence, and we need the music. Please feel the effect of the Aumkaram meditation. You can do it all the way for half an hour, and it will come a point is like your mind will become so still, so quiet. A little bit more. If it's too loud, the music, please let us know.
Yes, perfect.
It's good. Everyone is happy, can hear clearly. And take a deep breath and tense your feet, tense your leg, tense your torso, tense everything as your life is counting on it. Tense, 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 every muscle. Breathe in and completely let go everything. Put your hands on the side if you can in Shavasana. Yeah, let go and take another deep breath, the second deep breath. And tense, 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 tense. Tense your neck, your torso, your legs, your hip, your feet, and as your life count on it. And then completely let go. And relax more into this one. Relax, let go. And the last one, the third one. Deep, deep breath. Inhale the divine, Shiva, Mahadevi, whatever you may call it, the supreme intelligence, Allah, the supreme ultimate creator of all being on the cosmos. Ah, yeah, if you yawn, it's great. It's so you're relaxing, you're letting go. Now, you're seeing yourself on a beautiful ocean, walking by barefoot, and it's early morning, the sun is coming out, and it's very ethereal. Everything about it is luminous, so beautiful, and a fresh breeze come in. Feel the breeze, the warm breeze caressing your cheek and your hair. It's too low. And as you walk, you feel the water. We need the music louder. Yeah, we don't hear it, please. A little bit more. And as you walk, you feel, you see the beautiful palm trees swaying in the air, the breeze touching your hair, caressing you with divine love. And you're free. You're free from everything. Free from body, from mind, from duty, responsibility, challenges. You're a free being of light. And you decide to soak in the water. Go put your feet in the water and walk and lay down. Allow yourself to float. See yourself floating in that translucid, crystal turquoise blue water. And as you're floating and floating, you're going away from the shore. Everything about you is melting, dissolving like salt in water, like a solid block of Himalayan sea salt. You're melting one particle at a time. See your body temple melting, dissolving with the ocean of divine love. Your feet, your ankle, your knee, your thigh, your torso, all of your organs, your intestine, your lungs, your stomach, your hands, your arms, your breasts, your heart, everything about you, liver, your neck, and now your head, your hair, everything, your jaw, everything is so mellow. Everything is dissolving. Your mouth, your tongue, your nose, your cheek, your eyes, and now your brain, and your last piece of air. Everything is dissolved in the great cosmic ocean of divine universal light. And as you're traveling as one in the ocean of divine love, you see a golden lotus in the far, far above the water. It's scintillating, a magnificent golden blue electric light calling you. It's you, lotus, of you, divine presence, of your own divinity. It's calling you. And as you're melting and melting, you're getting closer and closer. Now, see yourself right sitting with your etheric new body of light. See yourself sitting on that blue, golden electric light, lotus. It's a magnificent, ethereal, mystical lotus. See yourself sitting. And then it's full moon. It's a cool moon. You're sitting now into this etheric, cosmic, divine ocean of love, infinite. You start blowing a bubble made out of light. See yourself blowing, and do it as you are sitting on your own divine lotus. Blow, physically blow now. See this bubble forming out of the blue electrical divine light of supreme divine universal consciousness. And as you breathe in, little by little, you blow, take a deep breath, let go, and then blow a little more. And as you do that, blow in it all that you want to let go, everything of this year of 2024. Beloved, what is it that in your heart, mind, and soul and spirit, what is it that you want to let go? Anxiety, pain, suffering, heartbreak, loneliness, all the good and all the bad. Blow in it. And as you blow in it, see the bubble getting bigger and bigger. Blow bigger. If you let go of work, let go of financial trouble, let go of problem with family member, a beloved, a lover, anything you want to let go right now. You keep blowing. Make the bubble. It can be gigantic bubble. Remember, as you blow, everything is going away. You offering it to the divine. Breathe nicely and then blow. Loss of a beloved one, a car accident, an addiction, a friendship that didn't turn out to be good, loss of trust, hatred, anything this year, everything about this year, you let go of that karma. Like a little baby with your feet up in the sky, you let go like a child. You blow, you keep blowing, and that balloon, it's getting bigger and bigger. You could extend it to many years if there are things that you haven't let go. Back pain, work that you don't want to do anymore. Remember, you're sitting in your own lotus. You are in an empowering position now to clean the slate and let go completely of 2004. And see that balloon is as a very thin blue light. It's like jello. And it's getting bigger and bigger. Injury, bodily injury, the loss of a beloved animal companion, the loss of a friend or a family member, or maybe an illness that you are diagnosed. Surrender right now in this moment to the Divine Mother. And as your bubble becomes so big, now let it go. Make a big and you release it in the air. Let it fly away. See it, how it goes right into the cosmos, straight, evaporate, burn, completely. See it. It's flying away, all evaporating, neutralizing by the power of divine love. All karmic imprints, everything has been purified by the glory of our Creator. as you see it dissolving and dissolving, lay down in your lotus and just rest there like a child. You rest within your own divinity and feel the love. Feel the golden electric blue light of divine love caressing your soul and your spirit and your heart, rocking you gently. You're floating gently under that cool moon, that ethereal mystical blue moon. And you're everywhere and nowhere. There is no more you. And you gently floating, feel the love. You're bathing in pure divine consciousness. Everything about you has been dissolved. Are you free being? One with the vast ocean of divine love and pure consciousness. All that you feel is divine love. Put your attention on your heart, your hanahata. Feel it bursting with that pure light, pure consciousness of our Creator. That presence that vibrates right now within your entire being. It percolates in every particle of your being, and you feel one with everything. And you gently float. You resting within your own divine presence. All you feel is pure consciousness. You're completely at peace and in bliss right now. Only now exists, bathing in the light of divine love. And you gently walk like a baby on that ocean. Gently, gently. Every particle of your being is in ecstatic bliss. Everything about you is healing, physically, emotionally, mentally, energetically, spiritually. Complete healing is manifesting within you, you being beloved. Feel the love of the Divine Mother. And gently, gently, you're coming back to the shore, floating, and the sunlight is coming out. Rocking very gently, and you feel so light, You're floating above the water. And you hear the birds singing. And the breeze is caressing your soul and your spirit. And you feel light floating everywhere. The past and the future does not exist. Only a light being of light filled with divine love and bliss. See yourself floating above the white sand. You feel so light. Take your own time. Take your own time. Slowly, slowly turn on your right side very gently. And for you, beloved, they're also online. Take your own time. And whenever you're ready, you may sit up. Whenever you feel like you have a hard time to let go, chant Aumkaram and apply all the things we have talked into this Drinking Bliss Divine Satsang, and make sure you come and attend to every one of them, because you never know how one is going to hit you. Every time you come, you may have a new realization, a new epiphany, a new aha moment, and new energy, because there's always transmission. I'm just an instrument of grace. And so, or a word, wisdom might hit you in a certain way. So that's a great way to implement some discipline in your life so you become more sattvic and you can balance your life more. And see the effects, see how you feel now. Our next song will be January the 13th on Monday, the second Monday. And also we post on the community. If you look on the channel, we have posts almost every day, so that way you can stay in touch. Beautiful wisdom that will uplift you. And if you're new, make sure to subscribe and like, and please share your comment. And we want to take a moment to say thank you so much for all your support throughout the year, and to be there with us in our loving community. And for me, this is my seva, this is my volunteering for the world. I stay for that. I was groomed for so many lifetimes. And I trust I'm in a state of surrender and abandonment, that I know that the Divine Mother will bring what I need to continue manifesting this work in the world. So that's, you see, I'm in surrendering too. So we love you, and I'm sending you all my divine love, light, and blessing and grace. And a lot of new things will unfold next year. And I don't know if some of you know, I'm writing a second book also. It's entitled The Sacred Lotus of Divine Love, and I'm hoping to launch it next year. It's kind of pushy, but I surrender it to the Divine Mother in a state of abandonment. And if some of you haven't read Becoming the Light, check it out. It will bring a lot of realization for many of you. Insight, that was the other word I was looking for. Some insight about spiritual awakening, spiritual journey, and spiritual growth. Yeah, you could check it out on the website under book, and it's available on Amazon. It's been a bestseller in the realm of body, mind, and transformation, spirit. So all my blessing, and wishing you a phenomenal new year to all of you, with so much transformation and many, many blessings, especially health. Oh, which remind me, before we close this evening, I will be doing a podcast next year, a mini podcast, but this one in particularly, when we were in India, I did Panchakarma, 1 month of intense detox for black mold and toxicity for mycotoxin, and with Dharana wellness retreat. And we're looking into doing spiritual retreat there, possibly next year. Many things will unfold in the coming years, and the reason why I bring this up is very soon we'll have a podcast on that, how Panchakarma in the Ayurvedic, how it's tied in with spirituality in the yogic tradition, and how it can be so transformative. So Merry Christmas to all of you, and a phenomenal, epic, beautiful year filled with grace and divine love. Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya. And if you have any more questions, feel free to email or write, especially write in the description.